to the Rally in the Valley.
Hey, Mikey here. Welcome to Rally in the Valley, the series where I take rally-tuned cars down my custom rally stage in Forza Horizon 5 to see which car reigns supreme in its PI class. Today we have an interesting variety of vehicles in the second group of B class taking to the course, going over a bumpy and technical 4.2-mile course to determine what vehicle is the champion of B class rally. The rules are simple. There will be 2 chances to put down a clean time. If you miss this checkpoint and can't get it back before the reset, the run is restarted. If it happens again, that's a DQ. Before we get back to the action, let's take a quick look at the standings. Rally Lancer is out in front with a 3-minute 9.374 second time. Does anybody in today's field have anything for Rally Lancer, or is this a battle for second place? We will find out momentarily. And our first vehicle up today is the 2014 Ford Pursuit Ute. This rear-wheel drive, kind of really an Australian special vehicle, is a rarity in the field. Like I said, it's all-wheel drive, whereas most of the cars in the B-Class field are all-wheel drive, with a few exceptions being front-wheel drive, which is going to be an interesting dynamic. But first, you can see going through the first few corners that it's not the most comfortable thing to drive. It is a fun vehicle to drive, as I have used it before in multiple circumstances, but it really is kind of an adventure to drive, and it'll be even more so off-road, as most cars have been struggling on the tarmac sections due to the lessened grip given by the off-road race tires that most of these vehicles are using. But you can see this section is relatively easy, and you can see that the Ute is taking it pretty well, going straight through, not really having much of a problem, though the back end does feel like it wants to kick out at most turns as we start heading towards the section to leave the valley. And just the braking on this wasn't as good as I was hoping. I locked it up, and then, as you can see, I almost spun it, but I was able to get it back under control. As we head through the trees and under the googly eyes, it handled that section well. And leaving the valley, it really didn't have too many problems. As you can see, mostly smooth but somewhat sideways entry to the transition to the second portion of tarmac. And as we head onto the gravel, this vehicle is not as fast, but it's also, like I said, not as comfortable to drive. And as you can see, just kind of scoot off into that stone wall. And again, just having to slow down because it's really not gripping as much as I'd like, and the back end wants to fly all over the place. I mean, which isn't surprising when you have basically a very much less weighted back end, just kind of along for the ride in a much longer vehicle than most of them are. As we go back to the final tarmac section. And again, you can see as I hit a post and just did not hit the braking point well. Again, brakes less than desirable as I both skid somewhat past the checkpoint and almost go over the anti-cheat that is there. Yes, there is anti-cheats on the course, and I almost went over it with the Ute. But all in all, I can't be too disappointed with the run. Just seeing as, again, it is a little bit longer wheelbase. It is an odd vehicle configuration. And really, even though it was out of the range of most of the times, it still wasn't the worst that I can imagine. So if finishing at 318.851, putting it 8th of the 8 vehicles that have run to this point. But it was an interesting vehicle to try out on this course. And up next, we have the 2003 Volkswagen Golf R32. This car started off life as a PR stunt car for a seasonal event, It hasn't been used much in races, so we're going to see if this is really a one-trick wonder or if we actually have something here. And starting off the line, even being all-wheel drive, it really felt a little squirrely, as it really felt unsettled even on the tarmac section to begin with. And you can see it sliding around, just getting through the checkpoint, but not in the most clean of manners. So early off, it's looking like this was really a good PR stunt car that I could never find form with. And going into the valley, you can... So far, it's looking strong enough. It's looking solid. It's maybe like it was, like most cars, is not at home on the tarmac sections. As we go in towards the last section coming out of the valley before the hard left. And we just come down the path, and the car really does feel good at this point. Just the little bit of hesitation and caution driving it with how squirrely it felt early. And as you can see, it's a little bit off, but not terribly through that section. Not anything that's going to destroy the run or anything. It did have a hard time with the transition onto the second tarmac section, going a little wide. And again, like most vehicles, the reduced grip from the off-road race tires on the tarmac really shows itself as it goes onto the gravel section, and the back end kicks out, so you have to gather that back up. So really at this point, I'm thinking that this was a good PR stunt for what it was built for. But overall, it's not race ready. And maybe could be given a lot more work. But again, for something that started off its life as a PR stunt car, it is performing decently. As we head in towards the left into the final dirt section, I'm not sure how we did not get launched there, as those are launch pads as the anti-cheats, and we skid right over them. But we got collected, got back going, and again, I attribute to that to it. The car was set up to be able to do PR stunts and not fully thought of as and fleshed out of to be a race car. As we head into the hairpin, again, it's handling it okay. It's good at getting up and going. It's good mostly at turning. The braking seems to leave a lot to be desired, and at some points the back end kicks out from under it, and it crosses the finish line, 318.050. It'll take over the 8th place spot from the Ute with a very similar time, but definitely looks like it was more a PR stunt car than anything. And up next is the 2017 Chevy Colorado ZR2. A strong cross-country truck is going to take its chance on the course and try to repeat the feat that its C-Class brother put up, with the C-Class Chevy Colorado putting up 3rd. But the start is not too promising, as is the norm with this, a lot of the vehicles having a hard time gripping on the tarmac section of the course, and it really was more comfortable just to find grass to run on instead of trying to continue on the tarmac sections, which, while a strategy, does not allow you to take great lines at times. And then going into the corner into the valley was just awful, trying to get the truck just around that corner. It just wanted to kind of step out on itself. But you can see it mostly seems to be comfortable on the dirt path, though, again, finding grass with this tune was a lot more comfortable than even dirt sections. So while this is a really strong cross-country tune, it really wasn't working on the mixed surfaces, especially the tarmac and the dirt. And with the trouble that I was having on this run, keeping the truck under control, I was not looking forward to the gravel sections. As you can see, it slides around, which would be in a way wonderful on a wide open cross country course. It would allow you to just kick the truck out, allow you to just take a line. But with this being much tighter than any real cross country course would be, that desired behavior in one discipline does not transfer over to the other. As again, just kind of went off for a little bit of a wander, as it wants to really slide around the corners and really doesn't take many of the tighter corners well. And again, just more comfortable on the grass than anywhere else. As we head on to the final tarmac section. And again, the truck just with this truck is on stock tires. The Colorados are both on stock tires, which is good for cross country, but again, just not great for this. As you see it clip the launch pad. Luckily, not going far enough to actually get launched, but this run really wasn't great, and the truck did not feel good trying to leave its normal cross-country discipline. As you can see, it got very much sideways heading into those shipping containers, which hold the checkpoints just in order to make it so you have to focus into those checkpoints. That's why those two sets of checkpoints are between the shipping containers. Kind of takes a wide line approach away as we go towards the big rocks, and I didn't really feel that I had much speed there as I was understeered into the corner and then steered right into the gantry. So this run was 324.256. Not eighth for the first time in a run today, but by far the slowest time in this field of the 10 that have run so far. And next up, we have the 1990 Nissan Pulsar GTI R. This somewhat forgotten car in my garage has impressed me during the testing I've done with it, and despite its lower power numbers, it really has a lot of get up and go because of its low weight compared to everything in the class. It is the lightest car running in this group of 8. And you can see right off the line, it is a very smooth car. It handled very well. I did feel it maybe lacked a tiny bit in speed and torque, but with its lower horsepower and lower torque numbers, that's kind of to be expected. So it's supposed to make up its time being able to take corners well, and you can see that it is very composed going into the valley. I had no problems with it really anywhere up to this point. It really did do a good job where most of the other cars struggled on the tarmac portion. Again, just maybe a couple miles per hour off on the top end. But as we're exiting the valley, you can see even when it needs to slide around, it slides around very nicely. It is capable of being thrown around when needed. And as we exit the valley, had to lock it up a little bit, but I locked it up a little. Maybe didn't need to lock it up, but I did lock it up a little bit earlier than maybe needed to. But still, the car handled it well. Usually when a car locks up, it kind of wobbles a bit, and the Pulsar just did not. So going on to the second tarmac section, just a tiny bit of understeer, nothing serious, nothing that couldn't be recovered from. As we go under the Dragon and onto the first gravel section, again, the Pulsar just staying composed, feeling very comfortable. Just a little bit of understeer there. That may be a little bit more of an effect on the time, but still not bad for a car that literally has to be brought up in events, or in this case for this competition, Fox brought up that he asked if I had a Pulsar in the garage. I was like, wait a second, do I have one? Yes, I do. And it's just putting down a good run, solid, grounded, not wanting to get out from under itself or anything. Very controllable. I just maybe need to retune it to get a couple mile per hour or two out of it as we head into the last turn. Again, just very smooth, very controllable. Didn't want to break grip on the tarmac like most cars did, with it being very steady anywhere on its off-road race tires. As we now go through the shipping containers heading into the last hairpin. And still very smooth, very, very nice to drive. So overall, the car felt really good on this run. And as we head in through the water, this is also a place where a little more torque would have done some good. I did missed a little bit on that left-hand turn at the end, which probably cost about half a second, but still put up a solid, respectable 315.214, which would put it into fourth among the 11 cars that have gone to this point. And next on the course, we have the 2018 X-Raid Mini John Cooper Works buggy, a vehicle that started its life at the same time for the same event as the John Cooper Works Countryman All 4. This theoretically should be a good vehicle for this event, but early on, the suspension really just did not feel great. And you see it sliding around a little bit, having some of the same problems with the grip on the off-road race tires as a lot of vehicles do. But going through the tarmac section, you just see it just sliding all through. And heading into the valley, as it gets into what should be its element, you already start with the oversteer, slides way out up from under itself, back end kicking almost fully around. But it did settle down a little bit at that point. So far, it's not the worst of the vehicles on the dirt section, but it definitely is not the best feeling. It does feel a little bit bouncy. It really almost feels like it has jelly suspension, which is not ideal for a rally run. As you can see, it's just under brakes. It just kind of wanted to let go. It was very squirrely. It didn't really want to settle in places. So it was very inconsistent. That's probably the best way to put it. This was very inconsistent. As we head back onto the tarmac section, it looked a little and felt a little bit more composed there than it had for most of the rest of the run. But again, the back end is just trying to kick out from under it. Heading on to the gravel section, it again settled a little bit, but then quickly got back squirrely as when it would be ideal to slide through corners, the back end just kicked out way too much, making it just a little too much of a slide, a little too much to handle, a little too much to recover. As it goes down the gravel path out onto the last of the tarmac sections. And again, it's just, you can see it's sliding as it's going through the corners. It's not gripping. It's not like it's not turning because it doesn't want to turn. It is literally like it is above, like the wheels aren't in full contact with the ground and it slides. So as we head down the dirt path, going towards the shipping containers to the last few checkpoints before you get to the hairpin, again, it's just had a few minutes of being settled. And most of the settled parts of the runs were the longer, straighter sections. But once you asked it to do anything that involved a change of direction, turn, even under braking, it just wasn't great. And you can see it just almost lose itself going across the finish line with a time of 3 minutes, 18.817 seconds. So that's going to put it 10th out of 12. In theory, this should have been a great vehicle for this, but it just really did not adapt well to the tight course. And up next is the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302 in what is quickly becoming one of my favorite uh, subclasses or subgenres of rally is the muscle rally, and the Ford Boss 302 came about through an event, and it came through a championship, and it's a really solid car for B class rally, very surprisingly. But after Fox shared the Chevelle, the muscle rally class just really became something that's probably as an overall thing is one of my favorites. So as you've seen going through this run, the Mustang, very smooth so far going through the start, not handling like you would expect from an old Mustang, handling the dirt sections beautifully, handling the road sections very nicely as well, gets a little sideways, but again, it's that nice slide to get through the corners that helps get through the corners. So I really was having no issues with this car. The top end was very nice. I did lock it up a little bit early going into the left-hand turn. But that is even after running the course as many times as I have, that left-hand turn is very tricky because every car reacts to it differently. So the Mustang, I did lock it up a little bit and get into it a little bit early, but going through the end of the valley section onto the next tarmac section, just again handling very nicely, very smooth. The only downside to this car is, like earlier, there are a couple points where I just really miss braking or miss the turning point that I need to hit. But really, this car is very solid. Put foot down, or, well, pull trigger in this case, but it goes. It responds. It's very responsive. Again, you can just see it planted, not affected by anything. Not affected, just a little tiny bit of understeer there, but nothing serious. It was able to keep its speed up as we go through, just maybe lost a little bit of grip there, but again, nothing horrible. It really did feel good going through the run. Nice and smooth onto the last dirt section heading up to the grandstands. And again, just very nice and smooth. Running along the dirt path up to the shipping container section. Again, a little bit offline, but not bad enough to really have a huge negative effect. Going into the hairpin, again, just really good going into the hairpin. Probably one of the best feeling cars of the day in that section. Did get a little bit offline coming out of the hairpin and unfortunately ran into the gantry, and that really was a big loss of time, finishing at 3:15.614. Really should have been better than the sixth place it got, but still a very, very nice run from the Mustang. We return to Rally Muscle for car number 7 of today's group, the 1967 Corvette Stingray 427. I'm not exactly sure what inspired me to make this car. Maybe Fox's Rally Chevelle was the reason I decided to take a swing Rally at Rally Muscle. I'm not 100% sure, but this is a car that, even though I don't recall using it too much, it tested very well in preliminary testing, which is basically free roam driving, trying to take corners, check on mixed surfaces, not to give any cars any work on the course itself before they run, but in the pre-testing, this car was really good, so I decided to give it a shot. And in a loaded B class, that really is saying something. that other than a couple obvious cross-country builds to be able to get into this class. And I'm really glad at this drive, as this drive goes on, I'm really glad that I had the Stingray in this group because it handled everything up to this point beautifully. Probably one of the better jobs of taking the hard left, going into the trees and the googly eyes. But again, nothing seemed to really bother this car. See it slide, just the controlled slide that I like to use sometimes getting through the corner, just a little bit of understeer coming onto the tarmac section. Nothing too bad though. Going through the Dragon and then coming up to the next gravel section, no struggles. Again, only one of very few cars that did not experience much in the way of loss of grip, though that was definitely driver error instead of car issue. I got on the braking point a little too late, and that probably is a good second lost. But even still, the run is very strong from the Corvette. Just coming into the last section of tarmac. Again, it doesn't feel out of sorts on the tarmac section. A tiny bit of a slide, but not enough to really make it feel bad or anything. Took that turn a little bit aggressively, but with the way the Corvette was feeling, I felt that I could take it very aggressively as we head towards the shipping containers. I mean, is this for Rally Muscle really has been a fun class in all this, as was the Mustang that just ran previously. Rally Chevelle in S1 class. I mean, Rally Muscle has been fun with this, and this car is going to cross the line, and it's going to put down an astounding time of 3 minutes 11.243 seconds, which is going to be good enough to catapult it to the podium after 14 cars have run. So with one car remaining, is the Stingray going to end up on the podium for the day, or will it be knocked to fourth? Now the last car up today is the 2005 BMW M3. This car has been a solid rally tune since the very beginning, and I really do expect this car to do well on this challenge. And getting off the start, you can see it is one of those cars that really doesn't have a problem with the tarmac sections, even with the off-road race tires. It's not having that same problem that a lot of cars are having with it just wanting to lose the back end a little bit. It's one of the more balanced, one of the few balanced cars that really can go on road as well. And as we head into the valley, there's really no issues. The most minor of understeer, but that's not even enough to really affect anything. It may have even given it a little bit better of a line through the valley as we head through the checkpoint by the rock formation, start heading out down the long straight towards the hard left. And you can see that it really is holding itself together. It's staying very composed. It is not having any issues. It's not affected. And again, one of the better exits out of that left turn as we go through the trees. Get a little air time, but it didn't get out of sorts when it landed, so it was very easy to get back up and going. I was a little bit aggressive coming out of that corner onto the next tarmac section, but no harm done as we head under the Dragon and off to the first gravel section. And again, just very nice handling, very smooth. Felt good going all the way through onto the next gravel section. Again, none of the bumps, none of the areas that could cause problems for these vehicles. came out and bid it. So it was very well. It was very well disciplined. It little bit of understeer into tiny bit of snap oversteer again, just maybe a tiny bit of time lost. Nothing serious. There was no handling issues. There is nothing that was giving any real difficulty on this run. Head into the final section may have just been was just a little too aggressive. Just tiny mistakes here and there, nothing major. There was nothing like the car wanted to basically step out. I mean, that was just missed turn there. Trying to hit it aggressively, knowing what this car is actually capable of. As we head around the hairpin, again, just trying to push it a little too, maybe overdriving the car instead of just letting the car drive, as this has always been a very solid car. And it comes across the line, very strong run, 3 minutes 12.578 seconds. So that's going to put the last car of the day in 4th place, just behind the Stingray, and just above the group that's starts right behind the Focus. So after our second group, you can see the Colorado in last, and really the 2017 Ford Focus is kind of surprised that it's that low. And just as we go through the standings, Rally Lancer stands up on top. So that will be it for B class. Join me again next time as A-Class second group will take to the course. So until then, have a good one, and I will see you later.